This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Ready to go for a busy Saturday, busy weekend. We're into March now. In like a lion, out like a lamb, all that kind of stuff, whatever. Lots of hockey to talk about. Busy show with Hannah Bevis joining us, managing editor of the Ice Garden. We'll talk a little women's hockey and the victory tour that continues for the U.S. Women's Olympic Ice Hockey Gold Medal champions. John McGrath from the News Tribune in Seattle with us to get the latest on Seattle and wanting to be number 32 in the National Hockey League. Our friend Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com will be here with us as well. Always seems that when there's a lot of stuff going on in terms of officiating and refereeing, we just happen to have a visit from Josh Smith we could probably do 2 hours alone on officiating and what's gone on this past week. We won't go quite that long, but we'll have some fun with that and dive a little deeper into some of the rules and how it's supposed to work and what's been going on. And also happy to have our kind of a crossover guest who is a giant Boston Bruins fan. He is also extremely hockey knowledgeable. I got to know Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC a few years ago. He will be working next weekend as the Verizon IndyCar series gets underway at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. I ran into him a few weeks ago in Phoenix. We had a nice little talk. So he's agreed to come on and visit with us and talk a little Boston Bruins. He can brag on them a little bit. And it's especially poignant today because Boston is hosting Montreal, and that is always a good rivalry. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Also where we are looking for your Dog of the Day nominations. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of you, your dog, and tell us your dog's name. Tell us your name, how you two came together, and we like to honor great dogs, worthy dogs every Saturday. It's something we do every Saturday. We had an incredible response last week. We had people sending us Instagram photos and tweeting us photos for hours after the show started, before the show. We had people posting them on our Facebook page as well. It was terrific. So get in early, tweet us a photo, send us a photo on Instagram. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We're live at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio. Busy show, good time in the NHL. We're into March, as I mentioned. We are screaming along in the 2017-18 NHL season. Just kind of tap the brakes for a second and think about this one. 5 weeks, season's over. 5 weeks, NHL regular season is over. That's it. 5 more weeks of the NHL regular season, then we're done. Everybody has 20 or fewer games remaining on their schedule. Kind of sneaks up on you, doesn't it? Kind of sneaks up just a little bit that, oh, wow, we're just a little over a month left to go. The drama factor on any given night keeps seeming to raise to a new level. It's fantastic. Teams are fighting to get into the postseason tournament. I know you're going to be hearing all this. It's the push for the playoffs kind of stuff going on over the next few weeks in particular. That's already started. That already started for a whole bunch of teams. Go back to the All-Star break after that, even a little before for some. It was, you know what? We got to get our stuff together if we're gonna have a chance to make the playoffs. Look back at the standings. You can do that. Go back a few weeks. They looked quite different than they do now. As we're getting set to start the games today, both East and West, there's teams that I didn't expect to be where they are. And the other cool part is that it's all likely to change again over the next day or 2 or 3 or week or 2 or 3. There's been a whole bunch of surprises, a whole bunch of teams that have been surging. Others have been slipping down, of course. In the East, New York Islanders, oh my goodness, they are free-falling. Columbus has slid. Carolina and Florida, they seem to be on the rise. I'm not getting too carried away with Carolina yet, though. They have disappointed me too frequently. Panthers, though, have been on a pretty good roll. 12 wins in their last 15 games. Out west, same kind of thing. Colorado's had another surge. They drilled the Minnesota Wild at home on Friday night. They're back into a wild card spot. Anaheim and LA have picked up kind of what we expected. If Anaheim could get through all those injuries, Made a few moves at the deadline. We just kept waiting for Anaheim to show them stuff, to make that surge, to start to climb back in. They're showing signs of life. LA has picked up. Jeff Carter coming back certainly hasn't hurt. Vegas, though. Vegas has lost 3 straight games. That hadn't happened for 3 months. Now, they're not in danger of slipping out of the playoffs or anything. They're going to make the postseason. But I mentioned a while back, if you were listening with us, the schedule for Vegas, a little tougher in February, gets tougher again through March. They're headed out on a big 5-game road trip now. Had a few injuries to deal with. James Neal's been out. Had a few injuries to deal with. So just don't expect maybe that same incredible level of success for Vegas. We got us a nice full weekend of action. 9 from Friday. 8 more today, all laid out really nicely, too. There's afternoon contests with Philly, Tampa, St. Louis, and Dallas. Late afternoon contest with Chicago, LA, Montreal, Boston, Islanders, and Pittsburgh. And then a nice schedule on Sunday as well. The big game on Saturday evening, of course, is the Toronto Maple Leafs, Washington Capitals, and the Stadium Series, the final outdoor game of the season. Yeah, that kind of snuck up on us as well because everybody's all consumed with the NHL trade deadline for weeks, and then the kind of catch your breath afterwards. The outdoor game, latest word, still on track. They had ridiculously high winds on Friday. They removed the glass from the boards. It apparently is still down, according to our friend Stephen Wino, who was tweeting about it. It's still down because of the winds. They are expected to taper off a little bit more. My guess is they're going to get this game in, unless something really goofy or extraordinary happens. The players will endure. They'll figure it out. They'll play. If the winds drop down a little bit, if they're 18, 20 mile per hour winds, you'll survive. They'll just have to do the middle of the third period switch like they have done in other games. And if it happens to go to overtime, then they'll have to do the switch in overtime as well. It's not really, it's not going to be a big deal, I think. Ian Mendez from DSN Radio in Ottawa had the best social media comment, I think, about the outdoor game and the high winds that are taking place in Annapolis, Maryland right now. The real test is going to be whether our friend Kyle Bukoskis from Sportsnet, if his hair gets messed out of place, that's a real test that the winds are too high. That's awesome. That's awesome. We kid you because we love you, Kyle, and out of admiration for that great lad. Great games on Friday, as I mentioned. The Nashville Predators are one of those teams that have been a team to watch all season. They have been up in top spot of the Central Division. They're even challenging Vegas now for top spot in the Western Conference. And as if the Nashville Predators needed more good news, their captain came out of retirement and got back on the ice Friday night in Vancouver. Welcome back, Mike Fisher. And came out, thought, yeah, he was feeling it. He was asked by the team, would you think about it? Would you think about it? He thought about it, decided yes, got skating, got back with the team. He's out on the road trip, played his first game on Friday night. And of course, just to complete the storybook return, Mike Fisher scores a goal in his first game back. Now, it didn't look good for the Nashville Predators to continue their winning streak. They were down in the late stages of the third period, but got a goal from Ryan Ellis. Sent the game into overtime. Calle Jarnkrok takes advantage of some pretty weak defensive play by the Vancouver Canucks. Preds get their 7th straight victory. This was a bit of a nasty game, too. If you were watching the late game, this was a little bit of a nasty one. Alexei Amelin belted Sven Berchi. Clean hit, shoulder-to-shoulder hit, but sent him tumbling into the boards. Left the game, did not return. And also later on in the game, there was a little pushing and shoving, kind of a scrum around the boards, and Ryan Johansson didn't like a little cross-check shove that he got from Eric Goodbranson of the Vancouver Canucks. So he turned around and said hello in that special way. He hoisted him. If you're not familiar with that expression, the cup check is another expression. So, yes, Ryan Johansson was tossed from the game. I'm making light of it because Goodbranson, while startled and needing a moment to recover, wasn't seriously injured and did manage to stay in the game. I suspect Ryan Johansson's going to hear about this. Maybe he gets a little fine to sort of lighten his wallet a little bit. I don't know what prompted it. It just seemed like There was a bit of a battle, a little pushing and shoving, but he kind of gave him a good hoist with the spear. Dirty play. I don't think he gets suspended. Maybe a fine. It's warranted, though. That's fair. Preds have a little breathing space now on the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets were hosting the Detroit Red Wings on Friday night. And Winnipeg in this game seemed to play as intensely or as hard as they needed to get the victory. Detroit would seem to get close and look like the momentum might be starting to want to shift in this game, but it never really did. Every time the Wings started to push a little bit, the Jets would show that they are a superior team, superior talent, superior skill. They would pull ahead, and they would play well enough to get the victory. Patrick Laine, well, he scored a couple more. What a shot. What a release he has to fire that puck into the net. Absolutely marvelous to see. Connor Hellebuck, he saves 30. Now, some good news for the Winnipeg Jets as well. More good news for the Winnipeg Jets is Steve Mason is back on the ice, practicing. He is apparently getting close to return and coming back into the lineup from his concussion, which is good news for the Winnipeg Jets because Connor Hellebuck has been carrying a hell of a load. They just keep rolling him out and rolling him out. Now, Michael Hutchinson has played a couple of games, got a couple of victories. That's great, but I'm not sure if they want to push him too hard. They're still thinking that, yeah, we want to win as much as possible, and Connor Hellebuck gives us the best chance to do that. That's going to give us the best opportunity to maybe get top spot in the Central Division. But at some point, Paul Maurice, Kevin Cheveldayoff, and the rest of the management with the Winnipeg Jets are going to have to think, you know what? How hard do we work this goaltender down the stretch? How hard do we push to gain top spot in that division? Nashville's a few points ahead of the Winnipeg Jets in the Central Division. Nashville's got 91. Winnipeg has 85. They both played 64 games. At some point, you've got to say, you know what? We're not going to get top spot. They're a little bit clear. They're 6 clear of Minnesota right now for third spot in the Central Division. At some point, you're going to have to say, we'll settle for home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs, and we'll have to live with it perhaps after that we won't be having home ice advantage. Because you can't burn out Connor Hellebuck. This is a lot of hockey for Connor Hellebuck to be playing. 53 games so far, 18 more to go. Is he going to play half? I bet he plays more. So that takes you up to 63. How much further do you want to push Connor Hellebuck if you're the Winnipeg Jets? How much further do you want to push them? At some point, you're going to have to say, you know what? We'll settle for second. We'll take home ice in round 1 and deal with the rest of it as it comes. One other game out west I want to mention because the New York Rangers won their second straight game. Hank won his second straight game, 36th birthday. And Henrik Lundqvist, for the second consecutive victory, stops 50 or more shots. This hasn't been accomplished in the entire time they have been keeping track of saves in the NHL. Congratulations to Henrik Lundqvist. Back-to-back victories, more than 50 saves. They get the 3-1 victory over the Calgary Flames, and there's reason to be worried for the Calgary Flames because the playoff picture seems to be getting farther and farther away from the Calgary Flames as they continue to miss Mike Smith. Not that John Gillies was terrible against the New York Rangers, and Henrik Lundqvist was exceptional, stopping 50 shots, but without your MVP, without the guy that you've leaned on for so much of the season, it's going to make the playoffs that much more difficult as the games start to dwindle back. Mike Smith is on the ice. They're optimistic he'll get back soon, but it can't come soon enough for Calgary. Other news with Calgary, of course, the ongoing saga of the future of where the Calgary Flames will be playing. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman was making his tour out west. We'll talk a little bit more about Calgary coming up. This is a drama that's gotten percolated once again. We'll get into that, maybe a little Ottawa Senators stuff, maybe a little leftover trade deadline stuff, and a whole bunch of other things as well. We'll get you set for a busy 8-game Saturday, including afternoon hockey and much more. John McGrath will give us the latest on Seattle later on this hour. Hannah Bevis, little women's hockey talk coming up in our next segment. Also, Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com and Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC, talking hockey and probably a little IndyCar racing as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day to nominate your dog as the dog of the day. Back with much more right after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova product design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova product design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Novo product design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova product design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com. Streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, all powered by Primetime Radio. It is a busy Saturday. We had 9 on Friday, 8 today, 7 more on Sunday. Another outdoor game that's taking place or scheduled to take place in Annapolis, Maryland with the Washington Capitals and Toronto Maple Leafs. It'll happen. It'll be a little windy, but it'll happen. It'll go off as scheduled. Lots to get into today with some news on Seattle and their ticket drive, little ref report from our friend Josh Smith and Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC also coming up. We also want to take some time to acknowledge the great accomplishment of U.S. women's hockey team in Pyeongchang, winning gold over Team Canada. We want to talk a little bit about the women's game, which is growing. Hannah Bevis is the managing editor of The Ice Garden, also a contributor to The Athletic. You can follow her on Twitter at Hannah_Bevis1. And Hannah joins us now. Hannah, I know that the Olympic team of women's hockey players is kind of doing the media victory tour and stuff right now, but are they even getting the recognition that they should be for this amazing accomplishment, winning the gold medal over Team Canada? Because I'm not sure a big enough deal is being made about this.
That's interesting that you say that, because I think they're getting a ton of attention. As a media member, it's been hard to get a hold of them because it seems like they're going everywhere. They've been on the Ellen Show, they've been recognized at games, but I mean, I think you can always say they should be getting more attention, especially because this achievement has been so monumental. Winning gold after 20 years of silver or bronze is an incredible accomplishment.
And maybe that's why I'm saying is that I'm seeing it on NBC. You see them recognized at a couple of games, and they're going to be at the outdoor game this evening. But I don't know. It seems like there could and there should be more. And I guess that's probably positive in terms of women's hockey.
I think we're getting a lot of attention and kind of the same kind of attention. You know, they're getting recognized at games. They're dropping the puck. I'd like to see maybe some more games. You know, maybe we see a rematch against Canada. Maybe we see more attention given to the pro leagues that these women play in during non-Olympic years. More acknowledgement maybe outside of Olympic cycles.
And I guess that's the other part of it is the one of the arguments as to why the NHL players didn't participate in the past Winter Olympics in Korea was that is it really something that grows the game and draws the attention of the game? Does this accomplishment by the U.S. women's hockey team, do you believe that will help push the game for women into a growth cycle?
We see it every Olympic cycle, especially in the women's game, because it's so much newer. You know, the NHL has been around for 100 years, so it's had time to kind of grow and develop as a sport and as a form of entertainment, whereas women's Olympic hockey is only 20 years old, and it's been around before then, but, you know, wasn't really seen in the same way as it is on the Olympic stage. So when you get a national TV audience, or just a TV audience at all, at the Olympics, it's huge. And we see, you know, participation in women's hockey spikes with this media tour. They're not only doing media appearances at games, they're also hosting clinics and meeting fans and talking to girls and boys who want to play hockey. So, you know, more kids hopefully will start joining the sport who maybe otherwise might have never played hockey before. I know a couple of players have said, you know, people have approached them and said, I had never watched hockey before I watched your game, and now I'm hooked. So I think every time they play in the Olympics, we see kind of a spike because people are seeing them and people are seeing what an exciting product it is on the ice.
And I'm glad to hear that. And maybe it's something that needs to be done on a regular basis, not just for a week or a couple of weeks after an Olympic tournament, but maybe this kind of thing, there needs to be more of that.
Yeah, I agree. And we kind of saw that last year. The U.S. women's national team boycotted against USA Hockey before the World Tournament because, you know, they were saying we're not getting enough support from the women's side as we see on the men's. You know, we're not getting the same kind of grassroots support. We're not getting the kind of media and marketing support because, you know, we see it with the gold medal game every year. If you market this as a marquee matchup and you give it the attention and the hype that it deserves, people are going to come and watch. And every 4 years, we see the numbers from television. You know, people come and watch this because they know what's happening. And if we see that more often, I think if we start to develop more awareness and people are understanding, you know, that this is a product worth watching, if they know about it, it's something that can get more fans for sure.
Hannah Bevis is with us. She's the managing editor of the Ice Guard and contributor to The Athletic and women's hockey. Follow her on Twitter at Hannah_Bevis1, talking about women's hockey, the great accomplishment of the U.S. women's Olympic ice hockey team winning gold over Team Canada. Now, if I recall, the ice hockey tournament for women is going to expand to 10 teams at the next Olympics. Is that a sign that we're starting to see some worldwide growth in the women's game? I think it's positive. There's also the faction that think, well, it always seems to be Team Canada and Team USA. But as you point out, it's still a very young game as far as women are concerned. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think expanding to 10 teams in the Olympics is a positive sign. And I think also recently, you know, the way the women's tournament in the Olympics is a little bit different than the men's in terms of how the teams are put into divisions. So we see in Group A, it's the top 4 teams in the world, and in Group B, it's the next 4 teams. So they're put in those groups based on skill level to kind of encourage competitiveness. And I think expanding to 10 teams and keeping that kind of way of grouping is going to be beneficial because we're going to see more competitive games. And for those 2 teams who make an Olympic stage who might normally not, we saw this year Switzerland and Japan have really made strides in their hockey teams because they've gotten that Olympic attention. And so, again, when a country sees their team on a world stage, you know, it brings more awareness. It's more people who want to play. It's their federation might be investing a little bit more resources into that product. So if you get 2 more teams on that stage, hopefully we start to see worldwide more Ice Hockey Federation saying, okay, this is something that we should be really developing more.
There's another criticism about, or that I've heard from some about women's hockey, which quite frankly, I think is asinine, but I have heard suggestions that, well, they don't allow body checking. It's not the same game because they don't allow body checking. Well, you're right. There's no body checking and it isn't the same game, but it doesn't make it an inferior product.
And there's a difference between no body checking and no physical play. And the people who I think have that criticism are the people who have never actually watched a women's hockey game, because there's not no hitting. There's not no board battles or anything like that. There's still very physical play. If you've watched any USA-Canada game at all, you'll know that these two teams do not like each other, and they are going to battle for every win that they try and get. And I think, we hear women in the game talk about this all the time, the players who are actually playing. It's a different kind of game. It's more skill focused. So you're going to see more highlight reel plays, especially at the Olympics when you have a bigger sheet of ice, just because you can't always make a big hit to take somebody off the puck. You've got to try and finesse, or you've got to play a puck possession game, which personally I enjoy watching much more.
I think the criticism comes from those that don't have the skill to play a highly skilled game, and it's try to drag the competition down to your level, quite frankly. The other thing that I think is going to be is a positive step for the women's game is the association that started to develop between women's leagues and some of the NHL teams as well, and the New Jersey Devils are one of those.
Yeah, we're starting to see that, across the board. In the NWHL, which is the professional league in the United States, the New Jersey Devils have a partnership with the Metropolitan Riveters. But the Buffalo Buttes recently had a partnership with Pagula Sports. They are owned now by them. In the Canadian Pro League, the CWHL, there have been partnerships with the Montreal Canadiens, the Calgary Flames, the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're starting to see at a team level, NHL teams are starting to partner with sister teams, which for the New Jersey team specifically, they have a locker room, they have access to ice time more frequently, and weight rooms, and more marketing and media resources. It's slow, this kind of partnership, but the fact that it exists at all, I think, is a positive step in the right direction.
Yeah, we always want to see growth at a faster rate, I think, than it sometimes happens. Hannah Bevis, who is a contributor to The Athletic, discussing women's hockey, managing editor of the icegarden.com, at Hannah_Bevis1 is how you follow her on Twitter. Thanks for the time today, Hannah. We appreciate the info. I like your podcast too, because you don't just talk about women's hockey, but because you like to have a beer and talk about food while you're doing that. Is this something that you hear in every podcast, beer and food, or at least alcohol and food topics?
I feel like the podcast that I like to listen to usually bring that up, but we usually, before we start talking about women's hockey, talk about what we're eating or what we're drinking. Yeah, Top Shelf is something that I do with my friend Michelle J, where we have a couple drinks and talk about women's hockey. I think it just makes it more, entertaining for maybe people who don't know a whole lot about women's hockey, or those who do, who just want to, feel like you're at a bar and having some hockey talk.
Nothing wrong with feeling a little relaxed. Thanks for the time today, Hannah. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. I had a lot of fun.
Appreciate it. Hannah Bevis from the icegarden.com. She's the managing editor, and the Top Shelf, the podcast, is pretty funny too. And hey, you know what? If a cocktail or two happens to flow before you record the podcast, so what? Some of them have been quite successful. As mentioned, the U.S. Women's Olympic hockey team will be recognized prior to the Stadium Series game tonight between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals. I believe it's going to happen. I think the wind would have to be really nasty and bad for it not to. It seems to be the forecast is moving in the right direction, so hopefully we'll be okay. A little more info on the potential for an NHL team's arrival in Seattle coming up next. John McGrath will join us. He's from the News Tribune in Seattle. The ticket drive, yeah, I would say it was pretty successful. We'll get into that and much more. Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com also coming up, and looking forward to a little chat with Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC, talking a little Boston Bruins, NHL, his favorite team, and he'll get a little time to gloat, and also the upcoming IndyCar season as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you miss the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. Here's Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles. Those are the ways to reach us to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Look for your nomination. Send us a photo. Tell us your dog's name. Tell us your name, how you met, if there's a great story that goes along with it. We like to recognize great dogs, and we do it every Saturday. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo. We had lots of people posting photos on Facebook last week as well. Great response. We do it every Saturday. Tomorrow on the show, of course, we'll have fantasy hockey, lots of great info for you as well. Coming up later on today, Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC will join us, a little Boston Bruins and NHL talk, maybe some IndyCar as well. And Josh Smith from ScoutingTheRefs.com also will join us on this program, because there's always lots to talk about in terms of officiating and the National Hockey League. Currently at 31 teams, but a city in the Northwest is looking to make it 32. Seattle had a big ticket drive that they announced, and it was kind of over pretty quickly because of the response. John McGrath is from the News Tribune in Seattle. You can follow him on Twitter at TNT McGrath, and he joins us now. John, did this ticket campaign go about as well as could possibly be imagined by the potential owners of this team?
I think it was just through the roof, Todd. They were, there was sort of conjecture of maybe Las Vegas was the model a few years ago. Remember when it took them a few weeks or a few days to get 6,000, and then maybe 6 weeks to get 10,000. Seattle got 10,000 like in 12 minutes, and it just surprised everybody. And we're still sort of dealing with like, what was that about? Because on the radio talk shows around here, hockey's really just not a common topic. Everyone's still talking about what are the Seahawks going to do to replenish their defense, and what are the Mariners going to do about their starting rotation and whatnot. Hockey was just never not. It's just really not discussed unless it's maybe in the vague terms of bringing in some expansion franchise or whatever. And so to get 10,000 responses in 12 minutes was astonishing. It really was. And again, like I say, I think some of that might have been everybody kind of wants to be in on this whole ground floor of a new adventure. And maybe some of it had to do with a lingering little bit of backlash against the NBA, which has been so indifferent to bringing the Sonics back. So there's some elements, some nuances involved, but the bottom line is it was an incredible day in Seattle sports history.
Yeah, if the target is 10,000, and I believe they capped it off somewhere around 30 or 33,000. There's that, and I believe they're going to start a waiting list. Is the next step of this campaign? Is that correct? You know?
Yeah, I think the basic idea of all of this was just to kind of take the temperature. Are there enough fans out here who want to watch hockey? And it turned out that there's plenty of fans who want to watch hockey. Kind of the silent majority, as President Nixon used to say way back when. That really didn't, they're not heard on the talk shows or anything, but apparently they're out there because, they were all in and right away, like within minutes. So, getting a team, it's a pretty obviously a solid ownership group that's a little with Seattle ties, but Los Angeles based, and that they're all the neat deal about it all is that they're financing the arena privately. It's going to be a $660 million project, and they're paying for it. And that's the way things are going to have to be done in the future around, in America, because taxpayers are no longer ever going to tolerate having any kind of participation in big arenas, unless the owners who accrue the revenues from all that pay for it. And they're willing to do it. And they're big time. It's a big time group, and the renditions look terrific. It's going to be quite a project. There's some problems in terms of logistics and parking and all that, but it's going to be great. And here's what it's kind of excites me, because I'm kind of an old hockey fan. What excites me is that the NHL sort of just nudged. It's like a NASCAR race where the NHL nudged the NBA out of the way and said, "Okay, if you don't want these guys, we'll take them." Seattle's a very appealing market. It's the only American market. It's the largest American market without a winter sports team. And that's been 10 years since the Sonics left. So the NHL said, we'll step in. Thank you very much. And they are stepping in, and we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be great.
Now, I agree with you. I think it's an excellent choice because there isn't another professional sports team in terms of a winter sport there, with basketball being long gone from Seattle. It's kind of the same approach that they had with Vegas. There were no professional sports teams in terms of Vegas, so being able to be the first in is good, and being able to take advantage of this opening is good. Now, and I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned there might be some hiccups with the building. Where do we stand in terms of getting the building renovated? Because there's inevitably the environmental part that has to be taken care of and approved before you can even begin the renovations. And then, as you mentioned, parking and all the rest of it is going to have to be addressed as well.
Yeah, I think those are just the environmental stuff is not officially been cleared, but because it's a longstanding property that's been there forever. It's been there since, the Beatles played there, in 1964. So it's been there forever. So it's not like you're going to some wild, marsh or something and chasing all the habitat away. So it shouldn't be a large issue. That will be rubber stamped, I would figure. And there are some other issues, but these guys know what they're doing, and they're promising that it's not going to be the nightmare that there's some cynics out there that were just convinced that this property was just doomed in terms of transportation. I'm from Chicago, so I'm real familiar with Wrigley Field, and I can tell you having been there thousands of times, there's no parking at Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field's one advantage is that it is on a light rail line, or we call it in Chicago the elevated lines. And it's, this property does not have that, but it's so cool, Todd. It's in a neighborhood, and there's restaurants around, and it's not like this big vast super parking lot where you have this arena in the middle of nowhere. It's in a neighborhood. I'm kind of psyched on a lot of levels about all of this.
John McGrath is our guest, he's been covering hockey and the developments with the potential franchise for the National Hockey League, number 32 for the News Tribune in Seattle. At TNT McGrath is how you follow him on Twitter. I keep saying potential because it's not official yet, and I know that the commissioner keeps saying it's not official yet, and they're going to do their due diligence, but also the potential ownership group is very anxious to get the approval and are hoping to do that as quickly as this summer. Is that trying to move too quickly? And I want to make sure that they're not trying to get ahead of themselves, because the league tends to frown on that kind of thing.
Right. No, I think they've done their homework. They really know what they're doing, and they fully expect the June meetings for at the owners' meetings for approval. We've got an NBA exhibition game, which is kind of interesting because they just kind of scheduled that at the last minute. Kings and Warriors here. A lot of some fans are kind of griping about that because the Kings were the team that was supposed to come up here, and then the mayor stepped in and the league said, "Please stay in Sacramento. We'll make it work for you," and all that. But that game's going to be late October. And I suspect a day or two later, the shovels will hit the ground and they'll start construction on this place. And there's every expectation that the league will give its approval in June. And again, these guys have done their homework. It's a real solid group. It includes a guy named David Bonderman, who's a University of Washington guy, a Harvard Law School graduate, billionaire who, an investment banker guy down in LA, but he's got Seattle ties, and Jerry Bruckheimer, whose name might ring a bell if you're a movie or TV fan. He's produced, Top Gun and CSI and The Great Race and all those. He's fantastically successful in that in TVs and movies and whatnot, and he's a hockey fan, and kind of took it up at a late age, and he still plays competitively, and he's in his mid-70s and loves it. Says he's not very good, but just says how fun it is, and he's at a point in his life when, hey, if I can be part owner of a hockey team, how fun would that be? So he's in, and it's a really great, interesting group, and they know what they're doing, and they're getting hockey here.
And the other part of this equation is the ticket drive was an overwhelming success, but what is the feel of the city, and how do you feel that the city will embrace it? Sure, I understand that it's putting down a few dollars as refundable dollars on potential season tickets is one thing, but is there a welcoming and an openness from the city to embrace and look forward to hockey? I know there's been junior hockey and other professional hockey in Seattle, but is this something that can go there and be successful long term?
I think so, but again, I don't know. I didn't know about the ticket drive the other day. I don't know. I guess a lot of it has to do with, can it be successful right away? And Las Vegas again would be the model. Las Vegas has done awfully well. I mean, hell, they can win the Stanley Cup this year, right? I mean, they're that good right out of the bat. Yeah, if this expansion team goes, 15 and whatever, 60 or something, kind of all bets are off. You gotta be good. You just have to be competitive, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. And so we'll see. But as we speak, there's just sort of this momentum about bringing a new team here, a winter team, a sports team, and I mean, just kind of the talk of what are you going to name them? That's you know, for a sport that nobody talked about on sports radio. I'll guarantee you next week I'll be talking several hours about what to name the new team. I mean, it's really galvanizing in terms of enthusiasm.
Grunge is my nomination for the name. Seattle Grunge. I just think I think it's perfect. Well,
there's some talk about Metropolitans, even though that would be the New York Mets are technically the same name. But the Seattle Metropolitans were the first Stanley Cup winners from the United States in 1917. They weren't members of the NHL then, but they were, the Stanley Cup goes way, way, way back when. And they were a pro hockey team. They just weren't part of the NHL because I don't think the NHL was even in existence at that point. So there's some talk about the Metropolitans, and then, you go from there.
That's John McGrath from the News Tribune in Seattle. At TNT McGrath is how you follow him on Twitter. I appreciate the time today, John. Thank you. Best of luck to Seattle in their quest, and hopefully we can have you back to talk more about the steps along the way.
Thank you very much, Todd. Have a good one.
Thank you. John McGrath from the News Tribune in Seattle. I think it's a slam dunk that it's happening in Seattle, and everybody else seems to as well. They certainly have the money in terms of the ownership group. Jerry Bruckheimer, David Bonderman, yeah, 650 mil, was that the number? That's the number. Yeah, the price has gone up about 30% since Vegas. You're going to have the same kind of draft. You're going to have the same kind of team that gets in place. Now, I don't know that they're going to be leading their division the way the Vegas Golden Knights are, but you're going to have the potential to. You're going to be playing competitive games, and that's going to be the important part. And Seattle Grunge is absolutely the right name. Oh, yeah, be perfect. Be perfect. Oh, it'd just be awesome. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports Twitter and Instagram handles. Seattle's getting a new building. Well, it's an old building. It's getting renovated. Calgary Flames are still looking for a new building. Well, but they're not really talking about it at the moment. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in our next segment. Also ahead on the program, Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com with a little ref report. Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC as well, all coming up. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Saturday edition continues after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit NovaProductDesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HUDogoftheDay. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Saturday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, live at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, live on Facebook, on Periscope, YouTube Live. And don't forget about our podcasts, including our Little Saturday podcast. You can subscribe through iTunes, iHeartRadio, and get them on the Hockey Unfiltered app, along with our website. Our Little Saturday podcast drop Wednesday afternoon. It's a little bit of weekend in the middle of the week, and that's how we came up with the name of the Little Saturday podcast. Just our way of keeping the conversation going about the latest in the NHL, and there has been plenty to talk about this week, as there always is. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to reach us. Check out our Facebook page as well. We're looking for your nominations for the Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog or dog you love via Twitter, via Instagram, and tell us why your dog should be the Dog of the Day. Tell us your dog's name as well. The photo goes up in our gallery on our Facebook page and up on our website. Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com coming up later on in the program. Lots of officiating questions and discussion. I always have him for Josh, and it's great that he joins us. And Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC will join us. He'll be very busy next week as the Verizon IndyCar Series opens up with the Grand Prix St. Petersburg. Alan will be there calling the action for ESPN on ABC. He is also a huge NHL hockey and specifically the Boston Bruins fan. So I thought it'd be good to have him on and let him brag on his team a little bit. So we'll do that in our next hour as well. Busy Friday night with 9 on the go, 8 today, 7 on Sunday. It's a good time. 5 weeks from the end of the NHL season. Oh, yeah, things are good. Now, as part of his yearly duties, the NHL commissioner makes a swing through just about every building in the National Hockey League, likes to stop when there's big things going on, big announcements to be made. He's going through Western Canada this past week, stopped in Vancouver to say, congratulations, Vancouver, you're going to host the NHL entry draft in the summer of 2019. Here. We are on board. Looking forward to, it'll be good. Van City, summer of 2019. I like it. Oh, that'll be a good time. Oh yeah, I think that will work just nicely. Dallas is going to be fun this summer as well. That's where the draft is. It's good. These are all good things. Now, as he continues his tour out west, the commissioner, of course, made a stop in Calgary to talk about, but not talk about, the situation involving a new building for the Calgary Flames. Because, of course, the Calgary Flames ownership group is not involved in any discussions for a new building. So there's no discussions going on, but the Flames are in need of a new building. So when the commissioner stops in Calgary, of course, he gets asked, and his response is, well, there's really nothing to talk about. Said he'll have a meeting with the team and the officials and get the latest on their situation, their financials, what's going on with the building, what can be done. But they have announced that they are no longer pursuing a new arena with the city government. So I'm not sure how Calgary gets a new building when they're not pursuing a deal with the new city. Well, this is part of the process. This is part of the dance. This is part of the maneuvering that is taking place. Because Calgary wants a new building, Calgary needs a new building, but they're not pursuing one. It's a leverage move. That's why the commissioner makes his statement the way it is. Like, look, there's no discussions. They're not pursuing a new building. We're going to make the best of it for as long as we can, and we'll just leave it at that. We're not threatening anyone. Oh, no. Don't take this as a threat that we're going to close up our room and pack up our bags and move to another city. This is not a threat. We're just not pursuing another building. It's all in how the presentation is put forward and then carried through into the media. This is a leverage move. The Flames want to get the best deal possible in terms of getting a new building in Calgary. The city wants to get the best deal possible in terms of a new arena and a new building that can be used in Calgary by the Flames and potentially other events as well. Perhaps concerts and other special events, which are bypassing Calgary on a greater and greater basis because their current building, the oldest one in the NHL, does not have the proper infrastructure for the biggest shows that are now touring. The Flames building is not suitable for anyone. It's not suitable long-term for the Flames, and it's not suitable for the city. They need a new arena. But something like that is going to cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. The current building is not up to the current standards. Doesn't have all the revenue streams that a new building will have. Eventually, Calgary continuing in the Saddle Dome will become unsustainable. Their methods of doing business are getting more and more difficult. Now, the city doesn't want to pay $500 million and just give them a new building. And the team sure doesn't want to pay $500 million to get a new building. So there's got to be some sort of compromise, but neither side wants to be the first to say, hey, you know what? Why don't we sit down and talk about a new building potentially for us to use and for you to use, and let's see where this goes. It's all about trying to get leverage and getting the upper hand. We went through the whole drama as Calgary was having a municipal election. Flames were getting into it. The city was firing back and saying what they're telling you is ridiculous. This is not true. And then everything all quieted down. Well, the mayor that they had trouble dealing with got reelected, and he's going to be around for a few more years. So are you going to let this go on and on and on and hope that you can eke out an existence? At some point, somebody has to be the bigger person and say, you know what? Let's have a meeting. Let's talk about this. Let's figure out something to make it work for both of us. And this is just one instance of how this it's all or nothing mentality has found its way into every aspect of our lifestyles. It's either you're with us, you're against us, you want this, you hate that. There's no such thing as compromise anymore. And I find that really frustrating. At some point, somebody's got to send an email, make a phone call, send a text, send an intermediary over and say, hey, they'd like to talk. Would you be willing to listen? Do you have some ideas and some suggestions? Now it's just what they're doing is not workable, period. We're not going to pursue it. Well, how does that accomplish what needs to be done? It doesn't get the city a new building. It doesn't get the Flames a new building. Are you going to push this thing over the cliff before you finally realize that, hey, all we've done is injure ourselves even further? This is the frustrating part. Make a call. Let's sit down. We'll have coffee, 10 minutes. Here's some things that we need. You go back, you talk with your people, then we'll come back and meet again. No, it's not. It's become about winning. And that's not right, because everybody has to win. It can't just be one party or the other. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to reach us. Busy hour number 2 coming up. Josh Smith will join us. Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC will join us as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
First hour flew by. Going to be busy hour number 2. Oh, there's a lot to get into. Touch on some of the games from Friday night. Interesting stories. Who does want to be into the playoffs? Seems to be sort of shifting sands that are going on. We'll get into that. We'll look ahead to today's Saturday schedule. 8, 7 more on Sunday. Outdoor hockey tonight. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a busy Saturday. Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com will be with us. A little ref report, hashtag Rev Report. There's always stuff going on in terms of officiating. I got a bunch of questions. I had a quick Twitter exchange with Josh earlier in the week about one such incident involving an official, and I suspect that's probably going to come up as one of our topics of discussion. Also coming up this hour, just past the bottom of the hour, Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC will join us. Alan is an enormous and very knowledgeable Boston Bruins fan. Bruins and Canadians. Could it be more perfect that we have a conversation with Alan, who is also getting set to start a new season in the Verizon IndyCar series on ESPN and ABC coming up this next weekend. It's a busy hour straight ahead. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to reach us. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day to nominate your dog as the Dog of the Day, something we do every Saturday. We like your nominations. Send us a photo through Twitter, through Instagram, post them on Facebook, use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Tell us why your dog should be the Dog of the Day. Tell us your dog's name, if there's a good story, how you two met. We like to recognize great dogs, and we do it every Saturday. We're live at hockeyunfiltered.com and streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, available for download at the App Store. 5 weeks to go. That's what's left, 5 weeks of regular season action. Would have been 5 weeks exactly on Saturday, but they had to postpone a game between Boston and Florida from earlier in the year. That's going to take place tomorrow. So, but five more weeks. That's all we got left. Then we're into the playoffs. Who's getting hot? Who's moving in? Florida Panthers have won 12 of 15. They are making a charge in the East, getting closer and closer to the playoff picture. They now sit 1 point out of the playoffs behind Columbus, who is also out of the playoffs, and the Carolina Hurricanes, who have 69 points and hold the second wildcard spot in the East. I'm not getting too excited yet. I can't. Said it earlier this year, the Carolina Hurricanes, you have tugged at my heartstrings once too often. And until I see it happen, I can't believe. Until it's impossible to change, I just can't believe. Islanders have continued to slide. My goodness. 5 straight losses for the New York Islanders. What is going on? It seemed like everything was going to be okay. Seemed like things were moving the right direction, but I don't know. Great stat from our friend Arthur Staple, contributing to The Athletic and covering the New York Islanders. Isles have been outscored 8-1 in third periods during this 5-game losing streak. That will tell you a lot. In Arthur's latest piece, there is also a tremendous story about he and Stan Fischler. On The Athletic, it's a tremendous story, and I don't want to give it away. It's worth going in and reading. But a really good story for Stan Fischler, who is announcing that this will be his last year of covering the NHL on television. Congratulations on an incredible career. But great games on Friday, and Colorado Avalanche. Look at them continuing to climb up in the standings in the Western Conference. 75 points. It's just one behind the Anaheim Ducks. Oh, yes, Anaheim. Welcome back to the playoff picture. Second wildcard spot in the West with 76 points. A single point behind the Dallas Stars. 77 points, the same as the Los Angeles Kings, who are just 2 behind the San Jose Sharks for second in the Pacific Division. And that Vegas team, I'm not sure if they're going to slide out of first. They're certainly not going to slide out of the playoffs, but they've lost 3 in a row. So things are changing and moving and evolving. Vegas lost at home on Friday night to the Ottawa Senators. 5-4 was the final. Exciting game, back and forth. But yes, it was the Ottawa Senators that defeated Vegas Golden Knights. Third straight loss for Vegas. That hasn't happened since late November. That's how good a run they've been on. Now, the schedule's getting tougher for Vegas. It will be more difficult in March. They have a 5-game road trip coming up. So things are getting a little tighter out in the Pacific as well. I'm not sure if Vegas is gonna fall all the way back, but it's going to get a little tighter before it is all decided. And good matchups on Saturday. Philly and Tampa Bay. Nikita Kucherov, maybe. There's no morning skate. Maybe. Montreal is in Boston. Canadiens won on Friday. They defeated the New York Islanders. Big victory for Montreal. 6-3 was the final. Alex Galchenyuk, 4 points, including a hat trick. Second of his career, game number 400. Has Galchenyuk finally started to arrive for Montreal, or is that only just going to cloud their future and what happens over the summer further? I don't know. But yes, as I mentioned, Ottawa defeated Vegas Golden Knights. 5-4 was the final. If a deal had been done, as was being discussed at the NHL trade deadline, about moving Erik Karlsson from the Ottawa Senators, one of the spots that he may have landed would have been in Vegas. And how weird would that have been to have him suiting up for the Vegas Golden Knights to face the Senators only days after? It's kind of strange when that happens, when prominent players are dealt and then they quickly face their former team. It was double weird with Matt Duchene when he went to Ottawa and then had to face Colorado over in Europe earlier this season. But Erik Karlsson in the lineup for the Ottawa Senators. And now there will be no more months of speculation about what the future is for Erik Karlsson and the Ottawa Senators. A few questions need to get answered. What's the payroll going to be? Moving forward for Ottawa, what's the payroll going to be? Is there going to be enough payroll to fill out a roster with good and some great players and pay Erik Karlsson a top-level salary? I'm not going to say what I think that salary is or should be, but it's going to be a top-level salary. It might be different for Ottawa than it is with some other teams. But he's going to demand and has already demanded that he be paid top dollar. Understandable. He's worth it. Terrific player. But how much is it worth? How much is he worth on a 7 or 8 year contract? McDavid's getting 12.5. Does Karlsson get that? I wouldn't pay him that. But these are the kind of questions that are going to be asked and eventually have to be answered by the Ottawa Senators. And if they decide that demands by Erik Karlsson are too extreme to allow them to put the other pieces of the roster together, then he's going to be dealt. Or Erik Karlsson is going to say, you know what? You don't have the financial capacity to build a competitive team and pay me what I'm worth. So I'm out. You got to move me. Well, you got to move me or I'm going to leave via free agency. I'm curious to see what happens next, though, with this whole thing, how the whole PR aspect of this is handled. It already started with the letter from Eugene Melnyk. I don't believe for a second that Eugene Melnyk wrote it. I think a PR firm wrote it and he okayed it. That aside, the letter from the Senators and Eugene Melnyk to their fans that this is what we're doing. But what's going to happen now? Is Vegas going to get back in to the Erik Karlsson sweepstakes if he does become available? Is Tampa out of the Erik Karlsson sweepstakes now? I don't know. They got Ryan McDonough. Made a great deal to get Ryan McDonough for some prospects and Nemestikov, and also got JT Miller along with that. I don't know if they've got room for Erik Karlsson now. Hedman, McDonough for the balance of this year and next. How are you going to squeeze Erik Karlsson into that? Is Tampa out? I would suspect. Who else might come in is going to be the interesting part. Vegas, are they back? San Jose? And how will the Erik Karlsson situation be impacted by other players that could be coming onto the market? Drew Doughty is in the same contract situation as Erik Karlsson. Come July 1st, he can sign a new deal. He can sign a new extension for up to 8 years with the LA Kings. He too, in fact, he started the whole I'm going to get paid. Wants to get paid, and rightfully so. Also wants to win. The one that everybody else is also going to keep an eye on is Oliver Ekman-Larsson of the Arizona Coyotes, who keep saying, not available, not available, not available. We want to sign him. And of course, you're going to say that. Ottawa Senators said, if Erik Karlsson is on our roster on July 1st, of course we want to say it. But it's how it's presented. And Pierre Dorion said, if he's on our roster on July 1st, of course he's going to get a contract offer. He didn't say, our number one goal is to re-sign Erik Karlsson. And everybody who's paying for tickets and a fan of the Ottawa Senators noticed the difference. Because they can't say that their number one priority is to sign Erik Karlsson, because they're not sure what the rest of their roster is going to look like and if he's going to want to stay for the money that they will be able to pay him or want to pay him. It's spring. What does that mean? 6 more months of Erik Karlsson rumors? Well, not quite. March, April, May, June. So 3 to 4 more months of Erik Karlsson speculation. Going to be interesting times, though. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to reach us. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day to submit your photo of your dog to nominate them for the Dog of the Day. Something we do every Saturday to recognize great dogs. Send them via Twitter, via Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Tell us your name, your dog's name, and why they are special. Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC coming up before the hour is out. In our next segment, Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com. Oh, I've got questions. I have got officiating questions. We'll get into it right after the break with Josh Smith.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, live at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to reach us. Alan Bestwick from ESPN ABC will join us before the top of the hour. We are pleased now to welcome back our friend from scoutingtherefs.com. You can follow him on Twitter at scoutingtherefs. A great informational website and resource, the website, and of course, great conversation online and at Twitter as well with Josh. Josh, I'm not sure where to start. Are you prepared for anything today?
You have to be, right? there's always a lot going on.
Okay, you know what? I want to start with something that I saw again last night, and I have seen a couple of times this week. And it's funny how these visits with you line up when I always have a question. I have seen this instance or this situation a few times this season. Sometimes I have seen it called a penalty. Sometimes I have not seen it called a penalty. So it's probably a good one of discussion. But it happened in the Anaheim game last night where Ryan Kessler had his stick knocked out of his hands. It happened a couple of nights before when Connor McDavid knocked the stick out of the hands of Matthias Ekholm. But if you knock the stick out of a player's hands, sometimes you can see that it's a slash, but other times it's not a slash. And I've seen it called interference. Is there a way that we can look at that and best define it?
I mean, really it is. It's interference. If you're impeding the guy's ability to play the puck, if you're getting in the way, if you're knocking his stick out of his hands, it's a penalty for interference. And it's pretty clear. The rule book has it in 56-2. If you deliberately knock a stick out of your opponent's hand, it's a minor penalty for interference. So it's really up to the officials when they see the play. Was this a deliberate attempt to knock the stick out of his hand? Was this a legal stick check that happened to result in the stick coming loose? We've joked in the past, we've seen guys whose sticks go flying into the stratosphere because they're trying to draw a penalty and they've got a real loose grip on that stick and they're hoping it's going to be called. So it's really up to the officials at that moment to say, did he knock the stick away? Was this intentionally him getting rid of the guy's stick, or was he just trying to stick check, a little chop on the lower part of the stick there and not really looking to remove the stick, but to try to free up the puck. And it's a tough call. And I think that's why you see this as one of the ones that gets to be called differently depending on the night and the official.
Yeah, and I'm not being a smart ass about it because I'm asking because as you detailed nicely, there are a few different layers to it. Some guys do hold their stick very loosely, and in the process of playing a puck in conjunction with another player, the stick goes out of their hand, and it shouldn't really be called a penalty. So this is another one of the many categories of the rule book that I guess is subject to interpretation.
Yeah, and those are always the ones, when you have that gray area, that's what leads to the greatest frustration that I see is, how can you determine intent? The rule book says deliberately knock the stick out of his hands. Well, I mean, if I'm a defender, if the other guy doesn't have his stick, then yeah, I'm happier that he doesn't have a stick. But how can the official determine whether that was a deliberate stick, a deliberate attempt to remove the stick, or just playing the puck, or preventing him from playing the puck? And I think when you get into those gray areas, or you get into intent, it becomes much harder for the officials.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I'm gonna wade into it. Goaltender interference is perhaps the most talked about example of what is open to interpretation. There was a call that it was in the Dallas and Tampa Bay game from a couple of nights ago, where the Dallas Stars tied the game up late, and it looked like there may have been a case for goaltender interference. And I'm trying to remember the player. I want to say it was Tyler Seguin, but I'm not sure if it was him, that seemed to have his stick between the goaltender's arms and swing him around. But again, I guess that also is part of interpretation. Is he attempting to put the puck in, or is he attempting to put the puck and or the goaltender in?
Right, because obviously you can't push the puck. You can't push the goaltender in when you're trying to push the puck in. You can play the puck, but you can't play the goalie to push his pad over the line. But the goaltender always has to have the freedom and the ability to do his job. That's the rules written. The goaltender must be able to play his position and do his job. And if something's preventing him from doing that, especially if it's in the goal crease, that should be considered goaltender interference. So again, you look at, was this playing the puck? Was this attempting to deflect the puck? Was this attempting to impact the goaltender's ability to play? And that's where you get the judgment call of the officials looking at it real time and making that initial call. And then when they review it, do they see anything that's different that would result in them overturning it? And more often than not, they don't. And that's as much an indication of the official's desire to overturn his own call as more evidence supporting the call that he made in the first place. Which again, here we go back to it. It's up to interpretation.
Now, there was a play a week ago in the Pittsburgh, Florida game. It was Patrick Hornquist who had a goal that was disallowed because he was swatting at the puck, and it was ruled that he pushed the goaltender and the puck across the goal line. But from my angle and viewing it, it looked like the puck was not covered by the goaltender's pad. It was in front of the goaltender's pad, and he was swatting at the puck that resulted in it crossing the line. Does it matter whether the puck is covered or not?
It certainly is going to factor in. If the goaltender has the puck covered, let's say he's trapped it on the ice in his glove and guys are whacking away at his glove, the referee is going to look at that differently than if it's a loose puck and he's whacking at it. So you then look at the other part of the equation is when he's whacking at this loose puck, or we're going to say that the puck was in play, and not covered at the time. So when he's trying to play the puck, is he also inadvertently or intentionally impacting the goaltender? Is he pushing his glove beyond the goal line? Is he pushing his pad to shift his position and make him unable to stop the puck? And I think that was one of those plays where you've got a situation where the referee needs to determine all those facets. It's a loose puck, so I'm going to go with this was legal to play the puck. Now, when he plays the puck, is he just playing the puck, or is his follow through, is his momentum, is something pushing the goaltender that is preventing him from being able to do his job? And I think on that play, that's what the referee's decision had to be, that there was contact that prevented him from being able to make the save. So the playing of the puck was legal, but the impact on the goaltender was what allowed that goal to happen and why the goal was pulled back.
Gotcha. That's a great point. I hadn't thought of that. It was inevitable that his hitting the puck or swatting at the puck, trying to put it in, is also pushing the goaltender across the goal line. Correct?
That's what I'm looking at as possibilities on interpretation. Yeah. But you're going to get, especially in a play like that where you've got layers, you're going to get different interpretations from different officials. And it's not even a matter of consistency from a rule book standpoint. That's up to what are these guys seeing? Is this guy saying, hey, that's a follow through on his shot, and I'm not considering that interference, that's part of the play? Or is another guy looking at it and saying there's a stick contact with the goaltender in addition to the shot, and that is interference? I think that's where we get into challenges. And from an officiating standpoint or from a league standpoint, they're sending these examples out to the referees. On a nightly basis, the supervisors are meeting with the officials after the games. These guys are reviewing footage on their iPads, and I think as examples like that happen, it's easy for Walcom's team to get the word out and say, look, guys, we thought this should have been a goal. We thought this shouldn't have been a goal because of these reasons. And hopefully, going forward, we can say that everybody's getting more consistent, because I don't think any of these challenges or any of these reviews are typical. We're seeing totally different plays. There's always a different wrinkle to it. And the more that they review them, hopefully, the more consistent they can get. But it's always different, and that's what makes it challenging.
Josh Smith is our guest from scoutingtherefs.com, at scoutingtherefs to follow him on Twitter. And that's what everyone is looking for, is consistency. But as you said really nicely, there's a different wrinkle, a slightly different twist, a different layer to each situation. So staying on top of it is important. Now, currently, there are no referees that are part of the video review process, at least to my knowledge. Is that something that would help with consistency in rulings?
The situation room's got some great guys in there, some real smart hockey guys, some guys with years of experience playing the game. I think they've come a long way in what they've learned when it comes to rule interpretation. Personally, I think it would help. We've got situations right now. So a coach's challenge comes up for offside, and the linesmen make that decision in accordance with what's going on in the situation room. You look at a review for a coach's challenge for goaltender interference, and that's purely down to the on-ice officials. So the guys on the ice are making the call. It's entirely up to them. The situation room does not weigh in at all. So as far as consistency goes, it's up to the guys on the ice. And I think that's the way the officials want it. I think having a voice in the room, whether it's one guy, two guys rotating through, I think it'd be pretty valuable. It's something that the NBA does. They have active referees rotate through their replay room, and it could be one, it could be five guys, depending on how many games are scheduled that night. And those guys handle the replay reviews. So you look at it in the NHL, and maybe in your nightly rotation of officials assignments, throwing two guys in the situation room to help weigh in. I think you get two benefits. You get them weighing in on the call with the benefit of 20 screens, huge screens, and talking about it in the room there. So their input becomes valuable. And then I think they get the experience to bring back to the ice next time they're working a game to say, hey, this is what I saw in the replay room. This is what worked. This is what doesn't work. And I think there's something to be said for the knowledge they gain from spending time in that room. And personally, I think it would benefit everybody. I think it'd be a great opportunity for the officials. And I think everybody would get a little bit more buy-in on those calls, because now you've got a referee in the room weighing in, instead of just the guys on the ice looking at it on an iPad.
Sharing information would be a good thing. I got to ask you about the other one from early in the week, was Tampa and Toronto, where it was Cedric Paquette, who didn't like that there was no call on I think it was a glove to the face from Leo Komarov. He kind of shuffled his glove in the direction of Gord Dwyer, who picked it up and then slammed it into the bench. The Tampa bench was apoplectic after that. There was an exchange after the whistle blew, and Gord Dwyer went over to have a chat with John Cooper. But this kind of thing should not happen. In fact, I'll say this kind of thing cannot happen by officials. It was a referee who became upset. And I mean, if you want to ring up Cedric Paquette for 2 or for 10, that's cool. But you can't let it go to this extreme.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. You never want to let emotion take over as an official. You can't let that get into your game. I think you make a good point there. We get frustrated with things, or you get frustrated with something that happens on the ice. But you have to remember your job as an official. You can call a penalty. You can send the guy to the box. I mean, Paquette could have been gone for the game for that.
Yep.
Technically, if they wanted to be tough and go by the book, and I'm not surprised that they didn't, because it's pretty severe. But abusive officials carries a 3-game suspension if you throw a glove at an official. And if they really wanted to book him for that, and they thought it was egregious enough, that was a course of action that it would have been extreme, but they would have been in their rights to do it. Give him the boot, give him the automatic suspension for 3 games because he threw a glove at an official. Again, I think that's a bit extreme, but that's how you have to deal with the unsportsmanlike conduct. You want to hit the guy with just a regular 2-minute unsportsmanlike at the bench. You want to hit up Callahan, who's next to him, fine. But yeah, I think you have to try to keep the emotion out, and when all else fails, stay professional and fall back on the rule book, and try not to let personal frustrations come out that way. It was a bad look. I mean, everybody's been there, players, officials, but sure. It's important to keep professional.
I agree, and I think that as a group, the NHL officials, both linesmen and referees, are extraordinarily patient and understanding, and give a great deal of latitude to NHL players. But there's a time when you have to say, no, you know what? Just, I can't be emotional about this. I have to implement the rule book. And even there was a play with it was Colorado and Calgary with Johnny Gaudreau, who got 2 minutes for embellishment. Now, I think it was a missed call by the referee, and there are people complaining though that Johnny Gaudreau got 10 minutes for got a misconduct after that. I don't think so. I think that he must have said and or done something that tipped the scale, because the referee is not going to ring him up just for the purpose of getting him out of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, I would like to think, and from talking to the guys over the years and spending time at ice level, they grant a lot of leniency to guys. You know when somebody's blowing off steam, and you know when somebody's taking it too far. And nobody's in the business of getting guys out of the game just to get them out of the game. So whatever was said was obviously over the line. And whether it was to set an example and say, look, guys, we're not going to do this the rest of the game. I'm going to give him the 10 here, or whether it was something specific that he said that crossed the line. The official had to have justification to do that. It's not something you'd want to say, and it's certainly not something they want to do to get a guy out of the game if it's not deserved. So whatever was said there was pretty extreme to get that call. And it's unfortunate for Gaudreau. There are going to be missed calls. There are going to be bad calls. Referees are human like everybody else. And you have to be a professional. And we're back to that. But with the players too, sometimes the officials call, that's what it is. And no amount of arguing is going to get them to change it. But some amounts of arguing will get you a 10-minute misconduct.
I agree with you. He earned it in this particular case. Josh Smith is our friend from scoutingtherefs.com. At scoutingtherefs is how you follow him on Twitter. Josh, as always, great info. I always learn something when we have these conversations, and I'm sure we'll be doing it again soon. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much, Todd. One little piece of trivia that I have, I actually confirmed this week, which I know you will appreciate, is that word out on the ice is for the officials. By rule, you see a goal, you got to wave it off, or you got to point to the goal. We don't want this ambiguity anymore. And from what I hear, the league has reminded everyone that it's time to make sure you're pointing. Either wave it off or signal goal, so we know what the call on the ice was. I know that's been a beef that you brought up before, so that's the word I'm hearing. Hopefully, we'll see it in practice this weekend.
Love it. Communication is a good thing. Thanks, Josh. Really appreciate that. Thanks for throwing that in. Josh Smith, the website is scoutingtherefs.com, and it is worth a visit for all the information. At Scouting the Refs is how you follow Josh on Twitter as well. Busy Saturday with 8 games on the schedule, 7 tomorrow. We'll talk a little hockey, especially Boston Bruins, with our next guest, Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC. He's a big Bruins fan. We'll squeeze in some IndyCar talk as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with much more after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition here every Saturday, every Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, live at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. Subscribe to our podcast as well. They are available through iTunes and iHeartRadio, and of course on the Hockey Unfiltered app. It's all powered by Primetime Radio. Busy Saturday as usual in the National Hockey League with 8 games on the schedule. It is going to be a busy one. Playoff situation seems to be changing on an almost nightly basis. In fact, if you look back a week or two as to what was going on, we've seen shifting of playoff teams. Those that were in have slid back a little bit. Those that were out have managed to climb back into the playoff picture. It's going to be fun to watch over the next 5 weeks. Anaheim has managed to climb themselves back into a playoff position. Colorado, just on the outside, had another victory. That's their 3rd straight win. They rolled it up big on the Minnesota Wild on Friday. In the Eastern Conference, the Florida Panthers keep winning. 12 victories in their last 15 games. Carolina Hurricanes had a victory over the New Jersey Devils. They've managed to climb back into the playoff picture. No, can't get too excited yet. Can't get too excited yet. Oh, Carolina, you've teased me too often before. I don't know. Still, that goaltending worries me. They have not had good goaltending. Scott Darling, Cam Ward has been good at times and other times not as good. But there were some other good games on Friday night as well. And looking ahead, a great lineup on Saturday, including the outdoor game between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals. It's windy, but I suspect unless it really gets bad that they will play the game as scheduled. Also, a late afternoon contest between the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens. So it's particularly appropriate that we welcome our next guest. He is the voice of IndyCar on ESPN on ABC. You can follow him on Twitter at Alan Bestwick. And Alan, I guess the first thing I should let you do is just kind of brag on your Bruins for a little bit, like when I saw you a couple weeks ago in Phoenix. Go ahead, just say all you want about how good a season they're having.
You know how a New England sports fan gets when your team is going well, Todd, is you get wary. Okay, this is going good, but this could go wrong, or that could go wrong, or this, and then Bergeron gets hurt, and oh my God, was Rask going to be okay the other night? He looked shit. So I'm not ready to brag. They've done a great job managing this team and this roster and adding a couple of nice pieces to try and make a run at this. And you just sit here on edge and saying, is this the year? Can they do it again? And you're just hopeful, but you're scared.
I think that expresses the sentiments of every sports fan. Is you're hopeful and excited, but at the same time you're scared as well. Now, how worried were you about Patrice Bergeron being out? It's not a good situation because I think it's probably going to impact any discussion of him for the MVP. But at the same time, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and he'll be back in plenty of time for the playoffs. It's not the worst situation in the world.
It's not the worst situation in the world. You'd like for them to be settled and set going into the playoffs with everyone healthy. We know how hard that is to do. I suppose if there was a time for it to happen at this point in the season, it's better now than 2 weeks from now. But, you worry. He's obviously such an important part of the puzzle for the Bruins. Such a great player both ways of the ice, and such a leader for the team. And, you want someone like that healthy and leading the team when it's time the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I guess if it had to happen, it's better now. But you hope that that he comes back and he's able to be 100%.
The good news, as you mentioned, is they did make some acquisitions just before the NHL trade deadline, picking up Rick Nash from the New York Rangers. It was a fairly costly move, but it certainly seemed to be the right move in the early going. He's been contributing. He scored a couple of goals already. And the Brian Giunta one is kind of interesting to me, is that it just gives you someone else who can play a little further down in your lineup, but has a great deal of experience and can still skate a little bit.
Yeah, it's been the conversation about the Bruins for a lot of the season, right? How young the roster was. A few of the really established players leading the way, but how many young kids they were relying on to get them through the season. And I think adding the presence of someone like Giunta, who's been there, who's done that, who, knows the grind of the 60 days of playoffs to try and get you where you want to go, and to add him at a relatively low cost and to be down there, we've seen from how many teams over these last several years now, those third and fourth line guys and that third defensive pair, they really are the keys to that deep playoff run, right? So to get someone with his experience, he jumped in there the other night, and granted that was a really unusual game against Pittsburgh, but jumped right in there on the power play where the Bruins have been struggling, contributed, showed a little leadership there, and if he can do that and bring a little spark to even just to that special teams unit, very valuable pickup, I think, and very surprising at the same time.
I don't know about you, but I loved that game against Pittsburgh the other night because the teams were trading goals for a while. You ran one goaltender out. There was a lot of scoring. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of offense. Now, that's not the historical Boston Bruins style, but it's kind of the way the game has evolved, and the Bruins seem to be on top of it. They can skate. They're extremely skilled at a high level, and they can score you a bunch of goals when they need to.
They put the puck in the net. They got some power play goals, which has been a big struggle for them lately, which was great. I looked at that, and I'll admit to you that I came in at the end of the first period. I was out at a family function, and I looked and I said, wait, it's 5-3 after one period. What in the world went on there? And I had to go back and look at it again. I think my first takeaway from that game, Todd, was that's not the Pittsburgh Penguins team we're going to see in the playoffs. Right? I mean, the goaltending was a struggle for them. On the other side of the coin, to have a game where that many goals were scored and Sidney Crosby did not register a single point, that's a big plus if you're Boston. You found a way in a game where they scored a lot of points against you to keep him off the scoreboard. That you're going to need to do in the playoffs. The Bruins showed some physical resilience when Hornquist knocked around McAvoy. I think Hornquist probably felt like he was a punching bag for the rest of the night because anytime anybody had a shot at him, they took it. And that was great to see for the locker room, I thought. The skill, I thought David Krejci looked as good in that game as we've seen him look in the last 3 years. And I attribute a lot of that to the presence of Rick Nash on his line. That was really encouraging to see because they're going to need Krejci to produce offensively to make a run in the playoffs. And Tuukka settled down, a little shaky at the start, but and his last few games have been a little shaky. But the goaltending for the Bruins has been solid all year, so it was a great result against a team you're probably going to see again late in the season. But boy, what a weird game.
Yeah, it was. You mentioned as well the young players and the incredible contributions they've had to the Bruins lineup this year. Danton Heinen has been great. Jake DeBrusk, I think, has been really good. Yeah. But the one that is, I don't think he's going to win the Rookie of the Year because Matt Barzal has just been too good for the Islanders. But Charlie McAvoy, the poise, the maturity he shows for a young player is absolutely wonderful to watch.
I mean, for a kid to come straight out of college hockey and play his first NHL game in the Stanley Cup playoffs a year ago and look as good as he did then. Okay, was that a fluke? Was it not? He's been everything as advertised. He has incredible skills. He's able to be physical. He's able to turn defense into offense. He just lights up the ice when he's out there, and has really been a solid player all season long. Really spectacular, I guess is even a better word. So, yeah, what a great young player. What great contributions. You mentioned Heinen and some of the other guys that they've had. You get to the time of the year now, though, where you're 65 games into the season or so. And now is when, those young players are beginning to feel the length of the NHL season. And you've still got that every other day plus travel beat coming up for the playoffs if you want to make a deep run. So having some of that veteran leadership around them, like a Zdeno Chara, or even now a Brian Giunta, I think is going to be crucial to helping that young talent figure it out on the fly in the playoffs.
There's the worry creeping back in again. Alan Bestwick is our guest from ESPN and ABC. Alan will be calling the action next weekend when the Verizon IndyCar Series opens up with the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. You spent a little time in Phoenix, as I did with the teams a few weeks ago. How excited are you for the new season with the driver shuffles that have taken place, the brand new car, which looks really sexy and really fast? It's always fun when the new season gets underway in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, I think if you look around at the recent past of open wheel racing, there have been a lot of times where there's been a lot of negativity, a lot of struggle, a lot of conflict, back to the days of the kart, IRL split and so on. I've never seen a time in open wheel racing where there's been so much optimism and forward momentum and excitement for the start of a new season. And it's really been fun to be around. The new car looks great. It's straight, but it seems to have done everything they wanted it to do when they designed the changes to it. The driver lineup is phenomenal. A lot of young talent coming in, a lot of new kids that really are going to get a chance to make a name for themselves, and some older guys that aren't willing to give up the crown yet. And of course, just the added optimism of the beginning of the build-up to the Indianapolis 500. Can we go now? Do we have to wait till next Sunday? I'm ready. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it always is. You're right with the excitement of a new season. The first race of the season is next Sunday. You will be calling the action there. You'll be at Indianapolis in May and then be in Detroit again, along with your regular crew, Scott Goodyear, Eddie Cheever, and all the rest. We're looking forward to it. Alan, I appreciate the time, and always good to talk hockey with you, and we'll talk racing and probably some hockey when I see you next in a week as well. Thank you for this.
That'd be a lot of fun, Todd. I appreciate you having me on. We'll see you in a week.
You bet. Alan Bestwick from ESPN, ABC. The Verizon IndyCar season opens a week from Sunday with the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. It is going to be a busy Saturday in the National Hockey League. As mentioned, Alan's favorite team, the Boston Bruins, who he grew up listening to the call of Fred Cusack, call the Boston Bruins games. They will host the Montreal Canadiens. It's one of 8 on the Saturday schedule. We'll get more on the games coming up, some other stories as well, plus whatever else we can squeeze in before the top of the hour. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Final segment, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way, and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you miss the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code GETTHESAVINGS. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with SeatGiant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Saturday edition. Man, today has flown by. Busy show. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles. Check out our Facebook page as well. Lot of ground that we have covered today. Talked a little women's hockey, U.S. Olympic Championship, the gold medal winning team, little on Seattle earlier on, Josh Smith, some great ref discussion, and our thanks again to Alan Bestwick from ESPN and ABC to talk Bruins, and also a little Verizon IndyCar series as well, which opens up next week. Boston Bruins are in action a little bit later on this afternoon. Bruins hosting the Montreal Canadiens. This is the rivalry that seems to be having two teams going in very different directions. And man, this is going to be a shorthanded Montreal Canadiens team as well. Of course, they're already without Shea Weber, who they have shut down for the season because of that ankle foot problem. And also without Carey Price, who is out indefinitely because he is dealing with a concussion. Max Pacioretty left Friday's game with the Islanders with a lower body injury. Victor Mete left the game on Friday with a lower body injury, with a hand injury. Both Pacioretty and Victor Mete have returned to Montreal for further evaluations, according to Eric Engels, and they will not be in the lineup against the Boston Bruins. This may be what Canadiens fans are going to witness for the balance of the season. There's a lot of young players and a lot of auditioning and kind of looking to see what they've got in the system and who they've got on the roster and helping to indicate which direction they might want to move over the summer months. Philly and Tampa, an intriguing game. Nikita Kucherov did take the warm-up. We'll see if he's back after suffering that injury that they're happy was not to be too serious. Ryan McDonough also getting close. We'll see when he makes his debut for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning play host to the New York Rangers on Thursday of this coming week. Wouldn't that be interesting to see Ryan McDonough make his debut for the Tampa Bay Lightning? By the way, if the Flyers can get 2 points from Tampa in the afternoon contest, they will at least, for the moment, take over top spot in the Metro Division. Of course, Washington Capitals are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday evening. But if the Flyers get 2, they will be in top spot in the Metro Division. That is quite an accomplishment from a team that lost 10 games in a row earlier this season. To come that far back is really spectacular. Good for them. Mentioned the Washington Capitals, Toronto Maple Leafs, final outdoor game of the season, Stadium Series game. They were really dealing with the gusty winds yesterday in Annapolis, Maryland. They have calmed down somewhat. They're supposed to die down a little bit. I suspect that the game will go off, even if it's a little windy, if it's a little gusty. The players will deal with it. The coaches will deal with it. What they'll end up doing is just switching ends halfway through the third period. Should the game go to overtime, they'll switch ends halfway through the overtime period. We have seen that occur in outdoor games previously. Could be interesting when players decide to dump the puck in. Maybe you won't have the big high flipped up in the air passes because you kind of get too much air and that puck might not go very far. It's like, oh yeah, you're at the face-off circle in your own end and you flip the puck up figuring it's going all the way down the ice, barely gets outside the blue line. Oh yeah, that could be interesting. It could be interesting to see, but that's part of the attraction and the appeal with the outdoor games. And of course, it's also part of why the detractors keep pointing to the outdoor games. We're getting the usual assortment of, well, they play too many outdoor games. Why are we having another one? Fans like it. They sell a lot of tickets. They sell a lot of merchandise. They generate a lot of revenue. It's pretty simple. Yeah, is someone in Chicago going to be overly exuberant about the game that's taking place in Annapolis, Maryland, between the Capitals and the Maple Leafs? Maybe not, but that's not for them. It's a little bit of a national audience, which is you use as your promotional vehicle, and it's the local event. The local events themselves are great. They're fun. They're exciting. Big pregame ceremony. I'm thinking there's probably going to be a nice flyover. Yeah. Even if you got 20-mile-per-hour winds, you can still do the flyover. St. Louis and Dallas, I'm intrigued about. Only a couple of weeks ago, we would have thought that St. Louis Blues were a lock. They were cruising along. Then they endured that big 7-game losing skid, fell right out of the playoff picture. They did snap the skid the other night, but there's still a lot of questions about the Blues. Made the big trade and moved Paul Stastny to the Winnipeg Jets. They're thinking, yeah, if we get in, great. But there's still question marks about the St. Louis Blues. And goaltending is certainly going to be one of them. It's certainly going to be one of them. Chicago and LA, Jeff Carter has goals in 3 consecutive games. Didn't everybody say it would be nice when the LA Kings got Jeff Carter back in the lineup after suffering that leg laceration early on in the season? He's got 3 goals since he came back. He is a streaky goal scorer. When he gets on a roll, he scores them in bunches. This is helping the LA Kings climb in the Pacific Division. This is why the Los Angeles Kings are now 2 points behind the San Jose Sharks. Both have played 65 games. 2 points behind San Jose for second place. Islanders and Pittsburgh. Isles have lost 5 straight. Pens have lost 3 straight. And as if you didn't need more bad news for the Islanders. They played the Montreal Canadiens at home on Friday night. Now they have to travel to Pittsburgh for a late afternoon start. That is getting the short end of the scheduling stick. Some positive news for the Pittsburgh Penguins is Matt Murray has skated and taken steps in that direction. There's still no timetable for his return to the ice for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but if you watch the goaltending that was taking place against the Boston Bruins a couple of nights ago, you know that they will be very happy to have Matt Murray back into the lineup. It's going to be an interesting day, and it's going to be an interesting 5 weeks down to the end of the NHL regular season. We will be back again tomorrow at our regular time, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. Our thanks to Alan Bestwick from ESPN, ABC, to Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com, to John McGrath from the News Tribune in Seattle, and also thanks to Hannah Bevis from the icegarden.com. She's the managing editor and also a contributor to The Athletic for a little women's hockey talk as well. Going to be a great day of hockey action. 8 games on Saturday, 7 more coming up on Sunday. Enjoy the great hockey, and we'll be back again Sunday morning at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit NovaProductDesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.